Every time that you cave in to your lustful urges and you watch these corn sites and you please yourself, what you are doing, gentlemen, is you are admitting defeat. You are essentially waving the white flag. You are saying that you have zero control over your desires, that you are powerless to them. Often, a lot of the guys that I coach reveal to me their frustration over feeling like they don't have any control. I find myself just doing it at the same time every day. I don't even want to be doing it, but I'm doing it. And they're very scared. And they feel like they will never overcome this addiction. And it's a scary thing for a lot of guys. It really is. You know, I genuinely see corn sites as a bigger threat to men today than even drugs like cocaine. Because with cocaine and all these other drugs, you have to go out of your way to purchase them. And whereas with these corn sites, all you need is a phone. And it's free to access. Free. But what you're paying with is a portion of your life, with your soul. Hundreds of millions of men around the world every day consume explicit content. It's so easily accessible. And something needs to be done about that. But these corn sites pay these governments money to keep them from getting banned. That's what it is. Otherwise, they would have been banned a long time ago. So many men spend hours of their life every day, some of them, just feasting on all sorts of fucked up content. Some are trying to get out. They're so desperate. They're so desperate to beat this addiction. As well as many other things, of course, to beat themselves every single day, clearly, right? You know, but a lot of guys are terrified by the idea that this could carry on consuming their life. And it needs to concern you. If you're somebody right now who pleasures himself to these sites several times a week, alarm bells need to start ringing in your head right now, because that is a very dangerous position to be in. For you to have barely any control over your desires. And it all starts with understanding why harnessing your sexual energy is very important. Because a lot of guys don't understand why that's important. They just think, well, I just don't want to have to do this. And they just focus on the shame element of, you know, watching porn, right? But I think you need to understand the power of your sexual energy. I've said this in countless videos before. Your semen has the power to create another human being, for goodness sakes. It's not just a liquid that comes out of you, right? You have the ability to create life with it. And there you are wasting it every single day, busting nuts all over yourself. In the least productive of manners, you are releasing that sexual energy, which, look, even if you don't aspire to have kids right now, keep that in you. Do not pleasure yourself. Now, pleasuring another woman and consequently ejaculating as a result is completely different, right? But pleasuring oneself and ejacking all over yourself is not a empowering and productive action to take. Hence why a lot of guys feel extremely pathetic after doing it. Right? You need to understand that retaining your semen in your body gives you that horniness, which is a good thing to experience. You know, a lot of guys often are concerned about that. How do I get rid of the urges? Don't get rid of them. Keep them. It's a good thing that you have them, right? Instead of busting nuts all over yourself and then feeling like a sedated animal for 2 or 3 days, keep that in you. Keep that hunger in you. That savagery that you experience, you know, the animalistic desire to just want to fuck, right? That's good. And I know someone watching this right now for the first time might be thinking, what is he talking about? But you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're a grown man who hasn't ejaculated for, let's say, weeks on end, you feel stronger. You feel that your thoughts are more collected. You're not all over the place. You're not busting nuts every single day or several times a week. It gives you a foggy state of mind, especially if you do that coupled with watching, pornography. All of these visuals, the scenes, playing in your head again and again. It clogs up your mind. Right? So abstaining from that stuff for a while, it gives you some more clarity. And it also gives you some more calmness as well. You're not like a mad little Tasmanian devil, like a creature that's just got rabies where you're so jittery and you're just, if you've ever seen little, nature documentaries and you see how like rabbits mate and stuff, they just hump each other, they go around humping each other. And that's how a lot of guys are right now with their porn addiction. They're almost like a wild animal who's very itchy and, twitchy, and they can't stay still. Being calm, collected. It even affects the way you interact socially. I genuinely believe that. If you consume a lot of porn, first of all, you don't want to go out there and socialize. It affects that, because watching a lot of porn and self-pleasuring does is it keeps you away from real life interactions. When you're watching porn, you're watching a very beautiful woman whom you didn't have to do anything to be able to see that way, right? You didn't have to become a competent man. You didn't have to take her out anywhere and eventually get to know her to eventually then sleep with her. No, you just opened a video and boom, there you are, looking at some of the most beautiful women in the world naked. You didn't have to do anything for it. It gives you that false sense of achievement. And so you're like, well, what's the point? I can just watch these videos. I don't have to go out there and actually become somebody. So it's like a lazy way out, right? And also when you go on a marathon of watching all these videos and then you eventually release all over yourself, do you want to then shower and then go out and meet people? No, you feel like a pathetic little loser. So what you're most likely going to do is stay in bed, maybe order a Domino's and just feel like a loser all night, and then fall asleep at 4 a.m. and, wake up really late. And it has a negative knock-on effect, domino effect. It does. As the late, great Jim Rohn used to say, everything affects everything. You might think, well, it's just 4 hours, Ali. Come on, I didn't do anything that bad. Well, no, it's the 4 hours that it kept you up at night. Now you're late the next morning to the thing that you got to go to because you spent all night watching porn. You feel like a loser. And it's when you feel like a loser, the last thing you want to do is go out there and be the best version of yourself because you feel pathetic. So abstaining from this stuff improves your self-relationship, the relationship you have with yourself, shall I say. You no longer see yourself as a loser. So you go out there, you start doing the things that you want to do. You pursue excellence, you go to the gym, you interact with your friends, you go socializing, right? You're a more confident individual. We must understand that it destroys every aspect of our life, not just one, every aspect. It does. We need to be very fucking careful. And for those, for you ROI geeks on here that are like, well, Ali, it's not that. What return on investment does it actually provide you? Is there a positive ROI out of doing it? No, there isn't. There's not one fucking positive ROI. And don't give me, well, it's healthy to release on oneself, because I saw an article once that said, pathetic. Nobody ever says, well, I'll only watch one video and I'll only bust once a week. No, nobody thinks that way. The issue is when you start doing it, it becomes a more regular occurrence. And then it just becomes your lifestyle. That's what you do. And I said, I made a video a few weeks ago talking about how I believe that for a lot of men, it's not even something they do out of enjoyment anymore. It's something that is purely an anxiety management tool. You know, to manage anxiety, they watch porn. They don't watch it because they enjoy looking at it. No, it's now just so routine. Some guys, even the same video. All right? It's an anxiety management tool. I want you to get your life back, gentlemen. I don't want this pathetic, degenerate habit to consume you and your life. I want you to go and get you again. Go find yourself again. Remind yourself every single day how destructive engaging in this habit on a regular basis is. The best substitute, gentlemen, is find yourself a beautiful woman to be with. Look, it's not a case of just being celibate forever. No, I want you to find somebody that you find incredibly attractive. Have real sex with them. Not with your hand. Not whilst watching loads of explicit content where you are essentially a cuck sat on a chair like this. And by the way, you know, this is not a cuck chair. This is just a chair for aesthetics, right? Occasionally I'll read a book on that chair. But when you're watching explicit content, you're essentially sat on a chair watching another man. Oh, yeah, give it to it. Yeah, what a pathetic thing. Instead of you being the man who's actually having sex with this beautiful woman. Retain. Retain until you can meet the right woman. Is it going to be easy? No. It's going to be challenging. Absolutely it is. But it's going to be worth it because you will notice how you will become a different man altogether. Within a few weeks, by the way. You know, the hardest period of NoFap, guys, is the first couple of weeks. In fact, I would even say the first 7 days. It's the hardest period. Because that's when you feel the most withdrawal symptoms, right? It's like if you take a heavy smoker and you say no more cigarettes, they're going to experience a lot of withdrawal symptoms the first 7 days, right? They're going to be really itchy and just, I need to, I'm stressed, and right? But if you make that week 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll start noticing huge benefits. More energy, clearer thoughts. You're going to feel horny, which is good. That's a good feeling to experience. You know, a lot of guys don't keep that feeling going long enough. The moment they experience it, right, straight to bed, ding, ding, done. No, keep that in you and use that to, work on something. You know, I spoke about the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. He's a man that studied some of the most successful men in America. This book is quite old, decades old now. And one of the main observations he had was that a lot of these men were able to control their sexual desire. Right? He called it sexual transmutation. Harnessing your sexual energy and directing it towards a creative endeavor, towards bettering your life, essentially. If you're able to do that, you will notice immediate, within a few weeks, returns. Positive ROIs. Nobody ever quits porn and gets worse, becomes a worse human being. No, it's only up from there. It's only up from there. So, gentlemen, I want you to recognize the power of your sexual energy and start to respect it a lot more. Stop busting everywhere. Getting rid of all of your powerful life source by watching a silly little video online for 3 minutes. Retain, keep it in, direct it. You will notice the benefits in the gym, in your personal career, all right, in your relationship. If you're in a relationship, you shouldn't even be watching porn. If you're with a woman that you find incredibly attractive, why are you watching porn? Ali, I'm just so used to it. No, you're just a silly little kid. Get your act together. You're with a beautiful woman. You don't need to watch these explicit sites. Don't lose a good woman because you can't control your willy. You'd rather watch pixels on a screen than you actually have sex with this woman. What a sad state of affairs. And if you don't find her attractive enough, well, then have that conversation with her. If it's something she can improve, maybe, the way she dresses for you, whatever, have that conversation. But if you feel absolutely zero desire, then stop wasting her time. Be a man and cut it off. Let her find somebody else that will see beauty in her. Okay, gents? Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you give it a like. Comment, let me know what you think down below. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more content just like this. See you in the next video.